You felt it. At the beginning, she couldn't keep her hands off you. The spark was real. The intensity was undeniable. It felt like something primal was driving her toward you. But now, she avoids your touch. She turns away in bed. She says she's tired, stressed, not in the mood. Weeks go by, maybe months, and you start wondering what happened. Did you do something wrong? Did she fall out of love? Is she cheating? Or maybe she was never really there to begin with. Maybe she was acting out a fantasy, a projection, a temporary illusion that only felt like love. And now that illusion has collapsed. Now, you're left with a ghost of the woman you thought you knew. Desire is not about comfort, it's about mystery. Esther Perel, one of the world's leading voices on erotic psychology, says this: "Love seeks closeness, desire requires distance." You think you're giving her what she needs: attention, consistency, security. You show up. You do the right things. You're emotionally available, stable, loyal. But here's the brutal truth. Those things don't fuel desire. They create safety. And safety, while necessary for love, can be lethal for eroticism. She's not turned on by predictability. She's aroused by mystery, by emotional polarity, by the feeling of not fully having you. That's the paradox. The more dependable you become, the more sexually invisible you might appear. Because desire doesn't want the man who's always there. Desire wants the man she can feel herself losing, but who chooses to stay. Carl Jung. Women crave the emotional masculine, not the nice guy. Jung said that inside, every woman lives the animus, her internal masculine. When a woman loses touch with that animus, she unconsciously seeks it in a man. At first, she sees you as the embodiment of everything she suppresses: strength, mystery, wildness, focus. But over time, if she feels you become too emotionally available, too easy to read, too predictable, her animus turns inward again and begins to criticize you. Not because you're weak, but because you're no longer the mirror of her inner masculine. You've become an extension of her own softness, and she doesn't desire herself. She desires what completes her polarity. This is why so many men get confused. They're more emotionally available than ever, more communicative, more sensitive, and yet she's colder, distant, numb. Because in trying to be what she says she wants, you stop being what she feels she needs, what she actually wants. She'll never say out loud. She wants a man who can dominate her energy, not her body. A man who remains centered in the face of her emotional chaos, who doesn't flinch when she tests his strength, who loves her fully, but will never beg for her love. She wants to feel chosen, not needed. She wants to feel your presence, but also your power to walk away. But here's the thing, she doesn't even consciously know this, because society tells women that being turned on by dominance, mystery, or masculine stillness is wrong. So she suppresses it, and that repression becomes numbness. And that numbness becomes, I don't feel sexual anymore. But that's not the truth. She's not broken, she's not frigid, she's not emotionally unavailable. She's just bored, unseen, unchallenged, and somewhere deep down, she hates herself for it. She doesn't talk about it. She might not even consciously realize it, but her body knows. Her body remembers every unmet need, every moment she had to suppress herself, every time she gave more than she received. And eventually the body stops wanting, not because it's broken, but because it's tired of being betrayed. Desire dies in silence, and so does she. Carl Jung said, "What you do not bring to consciousness appears in your life as fate." Most women don't suddenly wake up one day and lose interest in sex. It happens slowly, quietly, buried under layers of guilt, unspoken frustration, and chronic disappointment. She starts to feel more like your caregiver than your lover, more like your emotional regulator than your erotic muse. She smiles, she listens, she's kind, but underneath, she's bitter. Not at you, at herself. for how much of herself she gave away to keep the peace. And with each internal compromise, her desire erodes. The collapse of polarity. When she becomes the man, modern culture celebrates the empowered woman, independent, strong, self-sufficient. But inside the relationship, something shifts. She plans the trips, she handles the bills, she initiates the difficult conversations, she does the emotional labor. And you become passive, grateful, yes, supportive, sure, but no longer leading. Now the polarity is gone. She's in her masculine, you're in your softness. She's doing, you're receiving. And this kills attraction because she doesn't want to be the man. She wants to feel a man beside her who can hold the storm she hides. Not someone who makes her feel safe, but someone whose presence makes safety irrelevant. The resentment she'll never voice. Here's what most men never hear. I'm exhausted from being the strong one. I don't want to make the decisions. I wish you'd grab me like you actually want me. I wish you'd stop asking what I want and just know. But she won't say that, because she's been taught to be polite, to be grateful, to not ask for too much, to smile and perform intimacy even when her body is numb. And every time she does, she's not faking for you. She's lying to herself, and it chips away at her desire piece by piece until the day comes when she no longer feels anything at all. Not arousal, not craving, not pain, just quiet indifference. From numbness to withdrawal. You start to notice it in small ways. She doesn't initiate touch anymore. She turns off the light faster. She avoids eye contact during sex. Or she avoids sex entirely. You ask if something's wrong. She says, I'm fine. But you can feel the distance. You know something's missing. You just don't know what. And here's the brutal truth. What's missing is her. The version of her that once opened to you. The version that wanted to be touched. The version that trusted your presence enough to let go. That version is buried now. Not gone, but hidden. She pulled her energy back because she stopped feeling you as a man who could meet her. Not emotionally, not intellectually, but sexually, energetically, existentially. Most men believe a lie taught to them by modern culture, therapy trends, and well-meaning relationship advice. If you're emotionally connected, the sex will follow. But here's the brutal truth. Emotional closeness does not equal erotic attraction. In fact, too much closeness without tension can kill it completely. Yes, emotional intimacy is essential for love, but erotic desire doesn't come from being known. It comes from being mysterious, from being felt, not just understood. She doesn't want to talk about every feeling. She wants to feel something that words can't touch. Carl Jung, libido is psychic energy, not just sex drive. Carl Jung's concept of libido wasn't about horniness. It was about energy, vital force, the urge to live, to create, to connect with something deeper. In a woman, this energy is highly responsive. It flows toward the unknown, the archetypal, the dangerous but contained. When a man becomes predictable, overly transparent, emotionally needy, her libido retracts, not because he's doing something wrong, but because he's doing everything safe. She doesn't want to be your therapist. She doesn't want to hold space for your constant inner child. She wants to feel your masculine center, the part of you that doesn't flinch, that doesn't need reassurance, that doesn't explain. She wants to feel like you're leading the moment, not analyzing it. Desire lives in the space between two selves. Esther Perel writes, "Fire needs air, desire needs space." If you're always emotionally close, always processing, always merged, there's no polarity left. You've become part of her. And no one desires what they already are. That tension, the push-pull, the mystery, the distance, that's where the erotic lives. She wants to long for you, to wonder what you're thinking, to feel your gaze rather than hear your feelings. But if you're always available, always safe, always soft, She stops feeling anything at all. The collapse of the fantasy she built around you. At the start, she saw you as a fantasy. The man who could hold her, the man who could awaken her, the man she could surrender to. That fantasy made her body come alive. But over time, reality set in. You became human, flawed, emotional, reactive. You asked too many questions. You tried too hard to be understood. And slowly the fantasy began to crack. Not because you're bad, but because she stopped projecting power onto you. And once that projection dies, so does the sexual charge. That's the dark truth no one wants to admit. Women don't fall in love with who you are. They fall in love with who you represent to their unconscious. And when that representation no longer evokes awe, desire dies. She doesn't want to figure you out. She wants to feel you. This is where so many men lose the thread. They think if they explain themselves more, open up more, connect more, things will improve. But women aren't turned on by men they can predict. They're aroused by contradiction, by the man who listens but doesn't need validation, who holds space but doesn't collapse into empathy, who cares deeply yet remains emotionally sovereign. She wants to feel your depth without having to talk about it. She wants to feel your presence like gravity, not your explanations like therapy. You probably heard the phrase, she wants to be in control. But here's the paradox most men miss. The woman who seeks control is often the one who secretly craves to surrender, and not in a weak way, but in a liberating, sacred, animal way. Deep inside her psyche is a war between the woman who has to lead and the woman who aches to let go. Carl Jung, the feminine shadow is repression of surrender. Carl Jung taught that the parts of ourselves we repress become the shadow, the unseen, unlived energies we disown because they seem wrong. Modern women are raised to be strong, independent, rational, to lead, to perform, to take charge, and that's good, until it's not. Because what gets buried in the process is her erotic chaos, her hunger, her surrender, her deep, primal craving to be taken by a presence stronger than her own will. That doesn't mean domination. It means she wants to stop controlling everything, but she'll only let go if she trusts you can hold what she releases. And if you can't, she'll hold herself again, and you'll become invisible to her body. Why she tests you. It's not about drama, it's about safety. She doesn't test you because she wants to argue. She tests you to feel your core, to know that you won't break when she pushes, to see if your masculinity is real or just performance. When she pulls away, criticizes you, or acts cold, she's not rejecting you. She's saying, I need to feel your strength. Show me I'm safe to be vulnerable. But if you respond with anxiety, chasing, explanations, you confirm her fear. You're not solid, I still have to lead. And the moment she feels that burden, her body shuts down. Your energy is louder than your words. You can't talk your way into her desire. You have to embody it. This doesn't mean pretending to be alpha. It means being centered, grounded, present. It means being aware of your desires without apologizing for them. When you walk into a room, do you own the space silently? Or do you scan her for approval? When she's emotional, do you collapse into people-pleasing? Or do you stay with her energy without losing yours? She's watching, not with her eyes, with her nervous system. And if she can feel you're rooted, she might, finally, let go. Eroticism begins where control ends. Esther Perel writes, the erotic is about relinquishing control. It's about risk, vulnerability, exposure. But most women today are addicted to control because they've had to protect themselves for so long. They don't just want sex, they want an energetic experience strong enough to shatter the illusion that they must do it all alone. But here's the truth. If she feels like she's more in control than you, if she feels like she's directing the emotional flow, if she feels like she has to coach your masculinity, she won't trust you with her surrender. And if she can't surrender, She won't desire. It's that simple. Shadow meets shadow. Why your inner work matters. You can't fake strength. You have to become the man who has met his own darkness, who's held his own grief, who no longer flinches in the face of chaos. Only then can you hold hers. When she senses you've done that work, that you've faced your own shadow, she'll relax. And in that relaxation, desire awakens. Because now she doesn't have to be in control anymore. She doesn't have to lead. She doesn't have to manage your feelings. She can feel. And in that feeling, her body starts to remember what it means to be alive. By now you've seen it. Her lack of desire wasn't random. It wasn't hormonal. It wasn't even personal. It was energetic. A response to years of unspoken frustration, collapsing polarity, and a growing sense that she had to take care of you more than you took charge of yourself. So the question becomes, can her desire return? Or is it lost forever? The truth? It can come back, but not through logic, gifts, therapy talk, or seduction tricks. It comes back when you stop trying to win her over and start becoming the man she can feel again. Stop being the solution, become the mystery again. Here's the first shift. You don't need to fix the relationship. You need to embody something she can respond to. Most men double down when desire fades. They get nicer, softer, more helpful. They talk more. They open up more. They become better partners. But all of that comes from fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of not being enough. Fear of confrontation. And she can feel it. The tension in your touch. The neediness in your compliments, the insecurity behind your emotional availability. She doesn't want to feel like she's the center of your emotional world. She wants to feel like you have a world of your own, a purpose, a fire, a mission, one that she gets to witness but not manage. That's what awakens her again. The mystery of your inner independence. Masculine energy is not aggression, it's gravity. Masculine energy isn't loud. It isn't forceful. It isn't controlling. It's unshakable presence. It's the stillness you bring when she's spinning. It's the certainty you radiate when she's unsure. It's the grounded intensity in your eyes that tells her, I see you, I feel you, but I don't need to chase you. Most men either collapse or compete. Few know how to contain. To be the silent mountain that makes her feel small, in a way that liberates her from needing to hold everything together. You don't need to be dominant. You need to be sovereign. Because when you are, she can finally soften. The path forward. Stop asking, start leading. Want to reawaken her? Stop asking what she wants. Start knowing. Lead the evening. Lead the kiss. Lead the moment. Don't be aggressive. Be intentional. Touch her with clarity. Speak to her with confidence. Look at her like you know exactly what she needs, and that she doesn't even have to say a word. That's not about domination. It's about direction. Women lose desire when they feel like they're directing the emotional and physical energy of the relationship. Reverse that dynamic, and her body will start responding again. Stop looking for signs, become the signal. The biggest mistake men make, looking for permission. Is this okay? Do you want to? Are you in the mood? These questions seem respectful, but they communicate uncertainty. And uncertainty is anti-erotic. You want to bring her back? Stop looking for signs. Become the signal. Your energy should invite her out of her mind, out of her routine, out of her mother mode, out of her planning, not through pressure, but through presence. Final reflection. This is the real test of a man. Most men don't reach this point. They stay in cycles of performance, begging, over-talking, or shutting down. Few ever become men whose very presence ignites a woman's nervous system. Fewer still become the kind of man who can hold her pain without retreating, lead her body without needing validation, and ignite her desire without saying a word. That's the final truth Jung would echo through the unconscious. Your shadow, your depth, your silence, that's where her desire lives. Not in your words, not in your niceness, not in your effort, but in the man she sees when she finally feels safe to surrender again.